What's up, folks? Welcome back to the stream. It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical, and we're a couple minutes late here. I apologize, and some technical difficulties on my end, but we've made it. Hopefully, everyone had a good weekend and is ready to talk some Pariah Nexus 40k. Because, oh boy, did we have a bunch of results from this weekend. For those who watched my Monday video, we saw some freaking wild results from event winning lists. And today we're going to be talking about the list that didn't quite win those events, but that got pretty close. I guess in terms of a couple sort of general announcements for those who are interested, I did put up a trailer last week for the T5SU Season 8 Invitational. The invites have been submitted and accepted, and we're going to start streaming that over on Twitch starting next week. The 8th is the official start time. That's when list submission closes and the event begins. So... yeah, it's gonna be an exciting time. So we take, for those who don't know, T5S2 is my online tournament series. We take scores from not only events that I run for Tabletop Simulator, but also events that other communities run, as long as they are. I think the cutoff we have right now is a 1,500 plus point current system 40k event. Then you can submit your scores, and we take the top 16 players from those events, and we make them fight at the end of each season. So at the end of the year, so we have about 400 players in the series right now, and we took the top 16 players from that who have accepted invites. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a double elimination group stage. So we're going through. Actually, I can show you the website because it is all online. If we just jump over here real quick. So this is tts40k.com, by the way, chat. This is the T5S2 homepage, the series homepage. The Season 8, the Invitational page has information for the Season 8 Invitational. And we are going to be going through kind of a dual stage system. So we have a group stage. There's 4 groups of 4 players. They go through a double elimination sequence. So the winners will play each other in a semifinal game. The losers have to play each other twice. The losers will have to play twice, essentially. The losers of round 1 play each other, and then that loser has to win against the semifinals loser. They play against the finals player, and then that person moves on to an elimination stage. Then we go to just a single elimination stage for the top 4 players. So that gives players the chance to they can recover their honor if they lose early on in the event, but they also have the opportunity to adjust their list between the group stage and the finals. So they can take into account new technology, and they can also try to tech for their particular opponents, which makes things really spicy. You see the players who put a lot of homework in actually do very well in the elimination stage, which is really cool. So that is what's going to be going on over in the server. We currently have the Season 9 map pool using the new map layouts in progress. We have... I think we're at 5 out of 8 of the maps are complete right now. I've been working on those. Once they're all done, they're going to be go to tts40k.com/maps, which is this link right here. So that's what's going on over on the community. We are so that'll be streaming on Twitch, the group stage, by the way. The VODs will be posted as soon as they can be onto TacticalTortoise TV. So that's my second channel, for those who don't know. That's where all of my stream VODs go. As soon as I remember to upload them. So when I play games or when I commentate games, that all gets posted onto this channel. Those will go up onto TacticalTortoise TV basically as soon as I have the opportunity to do so. The final stage, so the 3 games of the elimination stage, are going to be streamed over on YouTube right here. So that'll be fun. So that's what's going on in the community. We're also going to be once those maps are complete, we're going to be running some community events as well. We're going to be doing a GT style event as well as a new player event that'll just be a little bit more of a casual format once those are ready to go. So more information on those is coming very slowly but surely. Are there points for painting on Tabletop Simulator? the battle ready victory points are always granted on TTS events because you're not painting, obviously. there's no painting involved. All your models are pre-colored thanks to the TTS mods. So it would be weird to ask your opponents to paint those ones. Each player to paint them. I guess we could do. You could do something with custom skins, actually, which would be kind of cool. You can you can do it for most models, but it probably is the older models. Now they use photo scans from the Games Workshop website and upload those directly. So like when you do a rotation, you can actually use a tool to turn the rotated object into a 3D model. So they do that, and now the models on TTS are mostly just direct rips from the Games Workshop website. In the past, they used custom models or even Dawn of War asset rips, and you could recolor those really easily. The old Dawn of War skins were not particularly complex, so you could rebuild those pretty easily. And I've done a little bit of that, a little bit of recoloring your models. So you could do something like that. That'd be kind of fun, actually. Tryhard implemented a 10-point penalty for improper list format. Improper list format. List format's always weird because I don't know. It feels like you never get it right. I think the 10 points is a good way to it is a good, I think, penalization. So like if something goes wrong in a game, right, and it's some sort of minor problem, you can use those 10 points as a little bit of a slap on the wrist. Basically, we're like, well, we're going to take away your battle ready points because you didn't, you had too many models on the table. You did a thing. Your tactical deck wasn't shuffled correctly. Some stuff like that. And I think that's it is a useful tool in that instance. Having like a 10-point buffer that you can take or remove from players based on pre-game stuff is good for sure. Jordan Valerio just got TTS set it up with your friend and you with the vids. Oh, hey, thanks, man. Glad that the videos worked out for you. I have to do another one. That's actually a good reminder because I have to do another one because there is a new mod, and a lot of people have asked about this mod. We are really on a tangent here, but I swear we'll get to lists momentarily. There is a new mod which I will show you right now because it's a little hard to find. It's called Force Org. And my videos talk about using Yellow Scribe, and Force Org is a new mod that allows you to get basically all of the TTS assets directly off of the Steam Workshop. So right now you have to go, or the system that I made those videos using, you have to go to the Battleforge mod pack, you have to download the mod pack, download the Yellow Scribe thing, do the Yellow Scribe. Force Org has all of the models and all of the Yellow Scribe integration directly inside it. So it makes things much faster. It is like a little bit of a, you win some, you lose some. There's some idiosyncrasies with it. Your models have like weird presets and stuff that you have to kind of mess with. But it is actually being currently updated, whereas Battleforge, to my knowledge, is no longer being updated by the team. So I'm gonna have to make a video on how to use this mod because it's really cool. But yeah, this mostly has all the Battleforge stuff in it, but it's just in one download. The problem is that you have to it's what's the word? It's unlisted, I believe, from the Steam Workshop. So you need to search for it on Google. Which is a little bit awkward, but that's okay. Paint scores are unnecessary gatekeeping. I agree with that for the most part, yeah. I don't like them conceptually. But in the context of a tabletop simulator event, like, they're not gatekeeped because everybody gets them anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't like paint scores generally. I think that it's totally fine for your event to want to encourage or require painting, and I don't think that it needs to be a mechanic in the game to do that. But it's like, it just opens the door for either new players to get like fucked, right? You can't, if you're playing a tournament and it uses Battle Ready or Battleforge painting points, you just get unnecessarily screwed over by being new and having new models. It generally it incentivizes people to like, or the people who have either like lots of free time or can pay for their models to get painted, get like an additional benefit, sort of over and above other players, because they can paint their models more quickly and more efficiently. But you know, if you're working 2 jobs and you get 1 Saturday to play a week and you get to paint one model, then suddenly you're you know, getting cucked by battle ready points every time you go. And not to mention the fact that it stifles creativity too, right? Because as soon as you paint an army, you're incentivized to play only with that army and never change it, which is not how the game is like intended to be played. You're intended to explore options within the game. I think it's totally appropriate and fine if GTs and large events wants to run it. I think at any point, if you are a smaller event, if you are an RTT, or if you're playing in casually or in a league or something like that, and they're using battle ready painting points, I think that they're, I don't know, kind of taking the piss a little bit. But that's okay. The mod is called Force Org, chat. Actually, let me just post it in the chat. There we go. I just closed the tab like a moron. I will post the link in the chat. Here you go, everyone. Everyone on YouTube wants to take a look at that mod. There it is. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice stuff. Good news is updates are dynamic. We have standardized items. I mean, they are maybe standardized for TTS. There are a lot of options for different models in the Force Org mod, and I guess it's like it is nice to have everything in one place rather than going searching for specific models that you maybe had needed to in the past. But I don't know. Some of the models are funny. They have bad colliders. They need to get fixed, or they have to be, or they're like on weird base sizes and stuff. But that's all stuff that already existed in the past, and you have to go fix them yourself or source new ones. All right, chat. Let's talk about some frickin' 40K lists. We're done talking about Tabletop Simulator. I know I'm going to get hate comments in the comment section. I don't like Tabletop Simulator. That's fine. You can hold your opinions. But what we're going to be doing is talking about some frickin' 40K. So here we haven't had to argue about base sizes for random stuff in ages. There's still a little bit. Going back to Tyranids, I'm reminded of all of the stupid base size stuff in Tyranids, because Tyranids literally get sold on multiple base sizes. So, like the mod right now has multiple base sizes for a lot of the different models, because there's no official answer to which one they are, unless Games Workshop has added one, but I don't believe they have. All right, one last thing on the tangent. Tyranid warriors have been sold on multiple base sizes. Let's see if the new Games Workshop website actually lists what they have. Survey says nope. Thanks, G-Dub. But I know you can get boxes of Tyranid warriors that have both 40 and 50 mil, or 45 and 50 mil bases in them. 40 and 50 mil bases, which is a dramatic difference for these models. And I think the same is true of the Zoanthrope kit as well. I think that comes on both 40 and 50 mil bases, depending on like where you buy it and when. Fucking shit show over there. But that's okay. Base size should be listed in the datasheet. 100%. I had a comment on the video about rotating, or the last one I did, which is going to be the end. We talk about rotating, by the way. I'm not talking about rotating anymore. We're done. I swear, we're gonna play it like it lies until GW decides to change it. Somebody was like, "How does this affect square-based models?" I was like, "Square-based models? Oh my god, my guy, you should probably replace those. Your models are on square bases. Whoa, those are like 20 years old at this point." Generally speaking. Most gaming communities and events almost universally require that your models come on the currently packaged base size, which is typically listed on Warhammer.com, but sometimes it's not, as we just saw, which is a mess. But generally speaking, you have to mount them on the most currently available base size, which is why I haven't played Broodlords in ages, because mine are on 40 mils, because they're a million years old. yeah, I love that rule. Is so funny. That I love that rule, because that used to literally be the rule, right? The rule was whatever the model came packaged on, that's what it's based. Now there basically is no rule, so you need to make up your own, which is a mess. But the rules just generally, they assume that you have purchased the kit and are using the kit that is currently available. They don't really have. They don't let you go back in time and play old models. Essentially, the idea is that Games Workshop doesn't want you to play old models, but obviously you need to be able to play old models because that's what the benefit of models are, is that they're like a I don't want to say evergreen investment, but they should have a long shelf life. That was always the funniest argument. I remember I played with one of the first players I played against in Warhammer 40k. They were playing Terminators on 25 mil bases. And if you've ever seen ancient old Terminators, the old squat metal guys, they used to come on 25 mil bases, which they were already oversized for. And I was like, my dude, Terminators have not been on a 25 mil base for fucking ages. And he was like, well, that's what I bought them on, and that's the rule, so my Terminators are going to be little tiny baby boys. And I was like, okay. It literally didn't matter, I think. And it very rarely matters, but occasionally it does. Especially if you're trying to get to melee. Melee base size matters hugely, but not for those ones. But it was very funny. Just use WTC guidelines for base size. Yeah, WTC and Frontline Gaming, I think, update a base size log, which is good. And honestly, 99% of the time, bases are just listed on the website, right? And then that's fine. You can just look up what they're packaged with. I just wish they updated it more often. Warhammer would be so based if they replaced movement with something like concrete, like an amount of squares. Agree to disagree. I don't like grid measurement systems, sort of conceptually. There is a really interesting... one of the biggest... I guess this sort of game design philosophy. I keep switching back and forth because I keep getting distracted. I apologize. I swear, we're going to talk about this in a sec. One of the biggest selling points of a miniatures game is that it encourages player expression, and that kind of encompasses like every aspect of the hobby, right? Like you can assemble your models how you want, you can paint your models how you want, you can play the army that you want, you can upgrade them how you want, equip them how you want. There's an immense amount of player expression within every aspect of the game, and that also includes movement on the tabletop. So like there is, and especially in 10th edition, there is a dramatic difference between whether my dude is lipped with the edge of his model around a building, or he is, fully exposed, or he's entirely behind the building. And the allowing for that amount of granularity in model positioning adds a lot of that player expression. And I think that you remove too much of that if you move to a grid-based system. And I think it becomes too gamey, is my opinion. But I don't think that like grid-based systems are bad. I just don't think that they're super good for miniature games. But that's just my opinion. That's my philosophy on it. And I don't think everyone shares that, and I think that's fine. Skitarii Rangers and Vanguard have snipers on an oval, but as an option, the pack comes with both. How is that handled? Pack comes with 25 mil for all models, with an option for the oval on the sniper due to the stand. So I think that the way that it's intended to work is that if you buy them a Transuranic Arquebus, they have to pay for rotation, because the upgrade is what gives them the gun, and the gun comes mounted on the oval base. And I think that would be how it would be handled for. I would challenge you to find it like an event or an organizer that would that would tell you it works a different way than that. All right, champ. Let's dive in. Catering more to a tournament crowd, it'll be a matter of time before they start selling us grid maps. I mean, I don't even think grid maps are particularly competitive. Like, I don't think it's a question of competition versus not competition. I would not enjoy competition play if it was on a grid. Full stop. I think it would be like I said before, you know, competition again is about expressing your ability to play the game and to position your models over and above what your opponent can do. And if you remove my flexibility that I have in doing that by forcing everything to stand on a grid square, then I don't think it's an interesting like competitive experience anymore. I don't think the 40K will ever move to a grid. To be fair, I think that free measurement is too entrenched in the identity of the hobby that I don't think they're ever going to move on. Nurgle Man in chat, what's up, my guy? How's it going? Are there any video games that do a miniature game outside of TTS? Video games that do a miniature game. So I think Moonrakers is the big one. If you want to talk about it, like digital miniature games, that's the big one. As far as I know, it crashed and burned. Although I think Bricky did a video on it like a couple months ago and said it was like really good and was underrated. It's weird because Tabletop Simulator kind of exists in support of an IRL hobby. So like there wouldn't be a Tabletop Simulator if a Tabletop 40K wasn't fun to play, right? Like nobody would want to go on their computer and play it. So having games that are primarily digital, but that play with the mechanics of a tabletop game are very difficult to find because it's like the opposite evolution from what you would expect, right? Like most of the time, if I was going to play a video game that I really want to play, like I'm playing Elden Ring right now in my free time. So like I would play Elden Ring because it's fun and like responsive and, you know, has a cool exploration, all this stuff. I wouldn't really want to go play like Warhammer 40K on a digital client if I wasn't then going to take those skills and experiences and move them to an IRL arena. And there are games that have tried to do that where you play a miniatures game but it's entirely digital and there is no physical there's no physical portion, like part to it, but I don't believe that they're very successful. But in terms of physical games with digital clients, most of them play on Tabletop Simulator, Privateer Press, or not anymore, Steamforged Games, for Warhammer or for War Machine and Hordes have War Table, which is like a top-down client that you can play their game on, and the benefit of that is that it's super low. It's not very resource intensive, so you can play it on your phone actually, which is kind of cool. But it's a very different experience because it's not quite as realistic as Tabletop Simulator. Other than that, I don't know if any miniature games that have just direct online clients that are proprietary. That was another long tangent. The question wasn't digital properties that have miniature games. It was the opposite. The question was miniature games that have a digital client. TTS 40K adds the community engagement and sales 100%. Yeah, I think that Games Workshop could, if they wanted to, crack down really hard on Berserk Games and stop them from hosting Tabletop Simulator stuff. But I think they realize that it supports the community so much to be able to like play test and grind and play these play global spanning events without having to go to a game store or a big event that they end up sticking with it. They end up allowing it to occur even though technically it's against TOS. Warhammer Old World has War Hall? Oh, really? They have like their own system? Let me look that up. Let me look at that. What is War Hall? Oh. That's cool. So this is like a rank and flank tabletop simulator sort of replacement with that you can just use to play online games. That's rad, actually. This is cool. I bet it also works for like Conquest and And like, yeah, a Song of Ice and Fire too. I love that they low poly you if you're playing on the free version. That's so funny. You get to play with the goofy Gumby men if you don't pay them $8. I love it. I love it. That's very funny. That's cool. I didn't know about that. Well, thanks for letting me know. Verloren, somebody who doesn't have the ability to play to go out and play the game IRL in any respect. TTS is your first time interacting with a miniature game, since that makes you kind of shy. Having the ability to play online without having to go ask a specific person would be great. Yeah, I mean, that is a benefit of Tabletop Simulator for sure, right? Like, the other thing that it does is it allows people to interact with the hobby who don't normally be, like, aren't normally able to. And when I say that, TTS sort of exists in service of the real space game. I don't mean that it is invalid for someone to have Tabletop Simulator as their primary, like, method of ingress into the hobby. I just think that I don't think that it would be like a viable alternative if most people didn't use it to support their IRL play. But it is, you know, it's a game system that a lot of people like to interact with, just to, like, in general, rather than play, you know, a truly digital game, like a true video game. Because it's, like, slower paced. You can do stuff while you're playing a 40k game. Like, your opponent's turn starts and you'd be like, all right, I'm gonna paint a model, you know? It's like kind of zen, which is cool. So I think that's totally fair. Anyway, all right, chat. Let's talk about some 40k lists. This was an interesting discussion, a good tangent, I think. This is all interesting things to talk about. Also, my camera's messed up. What's wrong with my camera? There it is. All right, that's better. I was bleeding over my overlay. Okay, let's talk about some freaking lists, chat. Where should we start? So this is Glasshammer GT Birmingham. Was, I think, basically the biggest event of the weekend. So I was told by someone in the comment section, this is the other sort of major level event, WarGamesCon. They say on their event listing that they used the most current GT missions. So I assumed that meant they used Pariah Nexus, but according to some people who were there, they did not. So these results, grain of salt in there. And obviously, I don't know that for sure. I guess I didn't look up all of the rules packs for every single one of these events because that would have taken me a million years. But these most of them linked their rules packs, and Glasshammer GT very clearly used the Pariah Nexus mission, so they were all Hundy P up to date. This is a nice looking rules pack, by the way, too. Way to go, Glasshammer! You guys are killing it over there. But yeah, we can talk about some results. Want to look at Necrons? So I talked about this list. This list is wild. The Tesseract Vault list. That was undefeated at Glasshammer. I talked about that on my video yesterday, so you can go check that out if you want to see that one. What am I taking a look at the PKH and BAC event, 32-player GT from Scotland. Which one is that one? I guess I could just look it up because we have the technology, not bookmark. So this one, I think I did not know whether or not they were using the newest result, the newest mission, so I don't think I included it in my results yesterday. But if somebody has the rules pack, I guess what we could do is try to look for it and see if they use the current missions. But I don't really want to talk about it if it's using Leviathan stuff, because it's like, who cares? Okay. I have no idea. But yeah, if they used Pariah Nexus, then we can definitely take a look. Anyway, let's talk about some friggin' Chaos Demons, chat. because I love Chaos Demons, and I want to look at what they're doing. So this is from Birmingham GT. Josh Perry, 4-1. Was taking Bellicor. Shalaxi Hellbane is back. We also saw Shalaxi Hellbane see some play last week in the RTT space too, which is interesting. And I wonder if there is a push towards these bigger like end game kind of sort of like vehicles. Like we talked about, there's a Tesseract Vault list that went undefeated. There's a Storm Sword list that went undefeated. There are more lists that are running these big, heavy, like just fuck off vehicles. I wonder if part of that is because they give you a lot of interesting options for playing in Pariah Nexus, because you can use them to play aggressively and force your opponent into engagement if you're going first, but you can also hold them, not in reserve, but like hold them and not overcommit them for the late game, where they can use high OC to take a bunch of objectives and potentially score Unbroken Wall, bottom of round 5. And I do think that helps as well. I also think that Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights are certainly going to see some play. Bigger vehicles are certainly going to see, or bigger monsters and stuff are certainly going to see some play with specifically the Knights faction's ability to walk through walls. That makes them way better. Canis Rex is going to be in like every list ever. So having these like silver bullet answers where Shalaxi Hellbane could just lightly touch Canis Rex and he implodes, is probably going to be huge. So I'm wondering if we start to see these big, huge, just, killers taken more often. We also have Scarbrand, 3 Nurglings, 10 Pink Horrors, 2x6 Blood Crushers, a Beast of Nurgle for the backline, 1 unit of Seekers. I love this list. So it's 3 Greater Demons. This list is so tiny. It's minuscule. So it's Bellicor, Shalaxi, Scarbrand, 1 Rendmaster to buff up, to let the Blood Crushers actually fight their way out of a committed fight. The downside of Blood Crushers is that they're very good on the charge. They're extremely strong because they're going to do 1 trillion mortal wounds to you, and then they're going to hit you, and it's going to be bad. With Scarbrand, they can get +1 attack on their sword as well, which is good. They're 2 damage weapon. But the problem is that once they get stuck in, they have no way to fall back and do anything. So they can't pull out of melee. They can't use the uppy downy. They can't fall back and charge. They're just locked in there. And the Rendmaster gives them kind of the Rendmaster plus Scarbrand especially gives them like the staying power to continuously deal damage even if they're engaged. Because he pushes them to strength 6, 3 damage on their swords, and I think strength 7, 2 damage on their horn. And suddenly they get the ability to actually threaten vehicles without the mortal wounds from the charge. Scarbrand giving them 3 attacks on the sword too, so you can get 3 damage attacks out of each guy. Gets kind of nutty. Seekers to take the midboard. These guys certainly help clear out sort of enemy chaff and stuff, which is good for setting up your deep strikes for next turn. This list feels so small. This is the full list, right? Because this is like whatever. They're 1100 basically, 1250, right? Plus 550 plus some infantry, yeah. It's so tiny. It's like 3 cavalry units and 3 greater demons and then support. That's wild. I love it though. That's so cool. Tesseract Vault must be much easier to move in Pariah Nexus. I don't even know if it's that much easier to move. I just think it's kind of technology that people hadn't unlocked yet, right? There's like no reason to play it when you were just deep striking Catan shards on people. Pariah Nexus, I guess like it maybe changed how it moves around the table because of the rotation rules. But I don't know how much that came into play. I just think that it was already like playable and people were just focused on the better Necron lists, but it turns out it was like a tier 2 Necron list, and once you nerf the tier 1 and the previous tier 1 multiple times, they just moved to that one. Because we even watched in team events, right, at ACO back in February, we watched a Tesseract Vault just eat people alive in those team formats, and it it was just such a stat check that I think it still had play. Obviously, that's a team event's a little different, but now, you know, people, especially because WTC is around the corner, right? So people are probably looking for those like skewier lists to try to play around with. The Desert Vault is a Beyblade. Pay 2 inches and it just rotates around. All right, we got some Tyranids to talk about over here. I'm excited to see how Tyranids end up. I don't know if I've been impressed by Vanguard Onslaught now. It's definitely more fun to play, but I don't know if I'm that excited about it yet. But I think that's probably a skill issue. I think I'm bad at Tyranids currently because I haven't played them in so long. It's just based on my sort of testing. Oh shit! I need to change where my setting is here so this is a little bit more obvious because it looks really bad right now, and I apologize to everyone who's trying to squint at the screen. We're gonna do something like that. All right. So this is Matt Robertson rocking Vanguard Onslaught. 1 Broodlord, a Neurotyrant with Neuro Node. We played Neuro Node. This is post update, right? Yeah, it's a 20-point Neuro Node. So this now redeploys before the roll-off. Previously, it redeployed after the roll-off, which was a huge benefit to the detachment, and it made the detachment really skewy. Because if you went first, you could like orc just like full wah and run into your opponent with a bunch of forward operators, and they would die. Now you can only redeploy after the you can only redeploy before the roll-off, but what you can do is use it to deploy your infiltrators really aggressively, prevent enemy infiltrators from doing stuff, and then pull them back before the roll-off, because you don't really need to be like right up in your opponent's grill. I wonder if we'll see Von Ryan Sleepers in this list to sort of combo with that. We had 30 Gargoyles to switch objectives around, 2 Exocrines, 10 Genestealers with the Broodlord. It's so interesting. The Genestealers being Strength 5 is like pretty relevant right now with the new Synapse changes, but I don't know if they're that good, to be honest. They're kind of expensive, like 230 points, I think, with the Broodlord. The Broodlord is kind of crappy. Crappy unit champion. Or a leader character. He's, in my opinion, way overcosted. I don't know why he has less attacks than almost all of the other characters in Tyranids, despite being more expensive. But I don't know. Giving Devastating Wounds is cool, but they don't wound reroll anymore. They're just reroll ones sometimes. It's just a little bit awkward. We then see 1 Biovore, double Exocrines, 1 Lictor, so we have a little bit of forward operator, plus 2 Neurolictors. So we have a lot of units that can jump up in the middle of the table. Double Molochs, which I think is a Windmill Slam. And I'm going to have a video tomorrow about Molochs that's going to be out. 2 Molochs is just an absolute Windmill Slam onto Vanguard Onslaught list specifically, because 2 of them means you can drop both of them turn 1 with Seeded Broods. So if your opponent has something in front of you, you can double nuke it with the Terror from the Deep, and then use the Uppy Downy in their turn to pull them back up and do it again. And you can keep recycling them, and it's like, you know, as long as you have the Hive Tyrant, which I think what we do. Oh, we don't. Shit. Okay. As long as you have the Hive Tyrant, he makes all that shit free, so you get to do it infinitely for free. But I guess if we don't play Hive Tyrant, we're just paying normal points for it.
Can we as a community refer to Warlock plus Trigger Uppy Downy as the more accurate Downy Uppy? 6 for life.
Henry P, that is very appropriate. It's the Downy Uppy. I might have to edit my video. That's true. They just jump back into the ground and then come back out. 100%. No, I'm with you on that one. Let's do it. But yeah, these guys they're just so crazy in this detachment. I actually don't think that they're good in any other detachment for 145 points. If you make them cheaper, they think they're too good in Vanguard Onslaught. They synergize so well with the detachment. It's like a little frustrating, because I think that they're like a Windmill Slam here. But other detachments, not so much. Ryan G, I don't know why I didn't read out your super chat. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. The TTS just decided to take a break. The Tyranid Secret Tech is a simulation swarm. 18 Tyrant Guard. 18? Did anybody play 18? I know somebody played 12, right? We'll talk about that list, probably. And I love the fact that I made a video. I made a video that talked about the double Tyrant Guard list like a full ass year ago, and I'm like, now it's good. I was like, yes, vindication. I can't believe this stupid ass fucking combo that I talked about a million years ago is actually okay now. And I played like a couple games with it. It was like totally fine. But now I think it's actually legitimately playable. Now that they get the strength change, we get the changes to Tyrants. Playing aggressive Hive Tyrants is way better now. Would both Molochs have to be within 12 inches of the Tyrant to get the 1 CP, the 1 CP Downy uppy? So I don't believe so, and here's why. And if someone can correct me on this, I would absolutely love that. But
Is there a world where a Tyranids list that goes all in on the battle shock aspects of the faction is competitive? Things like Neuralictors, Screamer Killers, and Haruspecs.
Mary, thank you for the super chat as well. I do think that a list like that is competitive. I think it's specifically in Synaptic Nexus, so that you can use the Mortal Wound stratagem, and you can use the Dirge Heart of Karis to combo and make those battle shock checks more easier to fail. I think that one Screamer Killer plus a Dirge Heart, probably Parasite of more checks, now that it can actually equip that. You could also do it on a Winged Hive Tyrant, but it's a little bit more in danger. And probably Death Leaper, so that like on one turn you can go in and you can force a battle shock check at -3 on your opponent. Is actually legitimately extremely good, because then you're getting all of the battle shock synergies that you would in a Tyranid faction. Yeah, I think that is strong. I don't know if it's like if you take like multiples of everything that battle shocks. I think that's probably too far, but you definitely take like, you know, a couple hundred points as a module that can most of the time battle shock kind of whatever one thing that you want to. That's super useful. So the stratagem, the uppy downy stratagem targets 2 units. It's Unseen Lurkers, I think, is the name of it. It might be something else, I forget. So yeah, it's doing type turn. It targets 2 Vanguard Invader units, as long as one of them is within 12 inches of the Hive Tyrant. You can reduce the cost of the stratagem by 1. There was rules in the old data slate update, the one that changed battle tactics, to hi Kitty. Inky's over here wanting to be on stream. That required that all models be in range or have an ability that reduces the cost of stratagems targeting them. If you are going to use it on them, to have that ability, that text has been removed. So, to my understanding, as long as one of the Molochs is within 12 inches of the Hive Tyrant, you can discount the stratagem targeting that Moloch. It may be that it's like, this means like one and only one Tyranid unit is targeted by the stratagem, but I don't believe that is how I'm not 100% sure that that's what that means. So, to my understanding, you can discount stuff that targets multiple units. It may be that interpretation's wrong, or that gets changed in the future. But it was a reversal of the previous ruling, because they had specific rules that stopped that from working, and then they removed those. So that's my understanding of the situation. Battle Shock is a little better this season, 100%, yeah. One of the big benefits that these Molochs have is, this came up in a game I played yesterday, or actually, it's on stream right now, or it's on the VOD channel right now, I think. You can, actually, most of my games, it's come up. you can rapid ingress the Moloch to try to force battle shock checks and deal damage to people at the end of your opponent's movement phases before they do anything. So they could move and be like, all right, I'm going to move here to deploy teleport homers, and you ingress a Moloch on them, roll a 5 up, and they battle shock, and suddenly they can't perform the action anymore. So battle shocking people at weird times is what Tyranids do best, and it is really strong. Definitely very good. Gamehammer Classic, thank you for the kind words, dude. Hope you're enjoying your time back in 40K, and yeah, I hope you're having a good one. If you could use it on 2 units with stratagems that work on 2, that would be dope. 2 times 5 criticals and melee for 1 CP. Yeah, I believe that is how that works. Obviously you can't duplicate the stratagem, but Adrenaline Surge targets 2 units in Synapse, so you can, to my knowledge, target it for one CP onto 2 things, as long as one of them is within range of Power of the Hive Mind or Will of the Hive Mind, then you're good to go. But obviously that could change in the future, and that might be a thing that you'd ask your local TOs about, because that it's like a little awkward that it didn't work that way and now does. I don't know. Fucking Inky over here. Come up here, kitty. Oh. Hello, baby. Oh. She wants all the attention. No 40K list, she says. Only pet the kitty. Yeah, for the people in chat asking about list reviews, I do list reviews. Yeah, usually for a $5 super chat. And then you could just message me. Either post the list in the chat if you can, or message me on Discord with the list. Either one of those works just fine. All right, so the remainder of this list, anyway, is running 2 Neurolictors. I like the double Neurolictor. I always found it's tough to fit the second Neurolictor because they're so expensive now. But it means that if you lose one Neurolictor, you're not just fucked really bad. Because I think that the Tyranids, especially Vanguard Onslaught, really needs the +1 to wound to actually get through a lot of enemy profiles. Otherwise, they have a little bit of trouble. And then Ravagers and 2 units of melee bioweapon warriors. Yeah, the warriors are just absolutely stellar. Now that they go to strength 6, they are just so fucking good. Not much else to say about those guys. But yeah. Interesting that this list doesn't have any Hive Tyrant. The Winged Hive Tyrant in Vanguard Onslaught seems so strong that I'm so curious that we're not taking one. But we do get more beef in the list. Lots of units. That's what pays for our Broodlord, basically. Our Broodlord unit would have been where the Winged Hive Tyrant is standing. Oh, I got a cat here in my nose trap. Oh, terrible. GCOs with 5+ devastating wounds. They don't get 5+ devastating wounds. They get critical hits on a 5+. Devastating wounds only trigger on wounds out of a 5+. I saw some people at the very beginning of the edition playing it that way. That is absolutely incorrect. You do not trigger devastating wounds on a 5. With Adrenaline Surge. They would trigger sustained hits on a 5, so you could sustain and lethal, and then, at least with the sustains, you would get extra chances to roll devastating wounds, but you do not get your devastating wounds on a 5+. Yeah, don't use the devastating wounds on a 5+. That makes them way better, and is not correct. We got some Chaos Knights coming out here. Jay Middlecoat from Mohawk Miniatures. Is this the Mohawk Miniatures, Jay? Let's go. Hell yeah, dude. Killing it. All right, we've got a Traitorous Lance with a Knight Rampager with the Panoply of the Cursed Knight. So that's the built-in Armor of Contempt effect. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Wardog Brigands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Wardog Carnivores. 2 Nurglings, a Beast of Nurgle, and a Sluppity Billy Prepare.
Synaptic Nexus Detachment. 2x Neuro Tyrants leading 2x6 Zoanthropes. 1x Hive Tyrant with the Dirge Heart. 1x Swarmlord. 3x10 Termagants. 2x Neurolictors. 2x Screamer Killers. And 2x...
Alright, I'm gonna take this down. real quick. I'll finish talking about this list real quick. Mary, thank you for the super chat, and then we'll dive into your list. The Slabbity Biopiper is interesting in here. I don't believe that he does that much. He's like a funny Torrent weapon, I think. But mostly he's a leader, but he's mostly in here because he's a cheap action monkey. All of the Chaos Demons have... oh, God damn it. All of the Chaos Demons have... Sorry, I'm trying to bring his beta sheet up. I'm having troubles. All of the Chaos Demons have Deep Strike baked in, even if they're just the characters. So he's 55 points, and unlike Nurglings, he can still perform actions because he's OC1. He does like Battle Shock check stuff within 6 inches at the start of the fight phase. It doesn't really matter so much unless he's trying to take an objective or something, but kind of whatever. But mostly in there because he is the Deep Strike. He's not a lone operative or anything. He's just a dude, but he's not bad. He's 5 wounds with T5 with the 5+ invuln. He's actually kind of hard to kill too. He doesn't die instantly. So I think he's the cheapest. He's the cheapest OC1 unit in the Chaos Demons Codex, if I remember correctly. I don't believe that there is anything cheaper than him besides Nurglings, but Nurglings don't count because they don't have OC. But you can get 65 points as like a Seeker Chariot, I think is the next cheapest thing that we get. And then it starts to go to like 70 and 75 points for the these utility units. I'm sure somebody could maybe correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I think the Slabbity Biopiper is the least expensive. So you're basically just paying like... This probably used to be like 5 units of Nurglings, so you just trade 3 of them for a Beast and the Biopiper. And then the rest is War Dogs. And it's cool to see that we're back to taking the big Chaos Knights rather than all the little Chaos Knights. Because yeah, they can walk through walls now more easily. So you don't necessarily need to use the Knights of Shade on this guy. You can Knights of Shade 2 Carnivores and also run him through a building. Which just makes the list so much more maneuverable. Allowing 3 units to go through buildings at a time rather than just 1 if you're using another Rampager is so big. Interestingly, though, a little bit of an interesting sort of idiosyncrasy that we found inside that rule is that it only works on normal move, advance, and fall back, I think, like movement phase moves. Mary, thanks for the membership by the way. Welcome in. That's so so you can't charge through buildings with it, but you can Knights of Shade through buildings. So you have to make sure that you can make your charge normally once you go through the building and movement phase. Kind of weird. It's not quite the same as just my Knights of Shading for free. All right, let's jump in. Let's talk about this Synaptic Nexus list. All right, so we are here on... I have put your list into a nice paste bin, so it's easier to look at. So it's a Synaptic Nexus detachment with 2 Neurothropes and 2 Zoanthrope units. It's a Foot Hive Tyrant, I assume, with the Dirge Heart plus Swarmlord. 2x10 Termagants, 2 Neurolictors, 2 Screamer Killers, 2 Haru Spexes. I don't know if I'm sold on the double Neuro Tyrant and double Zoanthrope. I think 1 is good, but I think that they're obviously they're a little faster than normal with the Hive Tyrant, but I think you would be better off spending the points on the second set of these on Exocrines, because the Exocrines have a longer range, they're faster, so they're going to engage with the opponent earlier without having to sort of operate in the same space that the Tyrants will. I'm also wondering if you want Tyrant Guard in this list, because it feels like the idea is that we're going to play the Hive Tyrants very aggressively. If the Hive Tyrants don't have any protection, then they will just die instantly. They're not hard to kill. With Tyrant Guard, especially with the Armor of Contempt strat, they become like a little bit tankier. I don't want to say Tyrant Guard are the hardest thing in the world to destroy, but at least for the Swarm Lord, I think I would consider that. I think you would have to take up the Space of Haruspexes. I'm interested in the double Screamer Killers. Two Screamer Killers I think are pretty good right now, especially because they go to Strength 11 with Synapse, and enforcing Battleshock checks is good, and with the new rotation rules, they're not just like the worst thing in the game to move around. I'm wondering if they want to be, if you want one of them rather than two, but I'm not sure. That might be something that sort of comes out in playtesting. Two's probably fine to start with, but I would keep my mind open to take one, and then you could put like Death Leaper in the other one so that your other Battleshock check forcing effects are a little bit better. Nerigo Meta, you'll take credit on this Sloppy Biopiper? Hell yeah, man. The Poxbringer is also 55. I wonder what the difference between a Poxbringer is. Could I tell you how Orks are S tier again? I don't think that they are, but I think that they're a solid B maybe. I feel like the indirect changes making non-loan up cheap units for the better for actioning. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of less stuff that will just kill them. That was an interesting thing we were talking about with Thousand Suns, because Thousand Suns did get a lot of like sort of mechanical changes to their army, which I think will hurt them. But the indirect fire changes were so big for them because indirect fire just absolutely destroyed that army. They were like, hey, here's a bunch of independent characters. They're all really important, but none of which have lone operative, and like one Manticore just ruined their entire day. And now less people are taking indirect fire, so that faction's gonna like just pop off. So yeah, I think I don't. So I guess you asked a question about the number of Tyrant Guard. I would start with 3 probably, because I don't think you want to like heavily invest in them. 2 Haruspexes, they're one. I want to say they're 140 each. Is that right? 145, I think. Let me double check. Oh, they're 125. So that's 250. For those two. If you replace them with Tyrant Guard, I think the Tyrant Guard are 80 points a unit. So you would have 90 left, and you could fit in like... Actually, you could cut a Termagant unit, and I think keep a Haruspex, because having more like frontline stuff is not too bad. And if you cut a Zoanthrope brick and you take 2 Exocrines, you also get another 30 points, 45 points or something to take more. I've heard people like Neurogaunts in this detachment because they make Shadow in the Warp much better. I don't know if I'm super into that, but it's definitely something to consider. 45 points for a unit of 11 guys is actually pretty good. It's a good investment. But I think that's the direction I would go in. Yeah, cheers, dude. Yeah, let me know how it goes. I think that the big thing with Synaptic Nexus, the part that's really powerful about the detachment, is that it has that ability to force Battleshock checks on people, and then benefit the other thing that the Exocrine does, right, is that it combos really well with this Neuro Tyrant. I guess, like, you'd have, like, 40 points, so you can start to include Pyrovores, too, which helps the shooting quite a bit. I think Synaptic Nexus is, at its like, core, it just wants to be a big gun line, because... You start your ranged attacks in Tyranids are already really efficient, right? Your shooting units are not good, but they are cheap, and mostly the Exocrine, to be fair. The other stuff, kind of whatever. But Exocrines are ridiculous attack volume, 3 damage each, high AP, and are basically free. The downside is that you need to combo off in order to use them, and having the ability to like apply Dirge Charge to something, apply a bunch of leadership debuffs to something, shoot them with a Screamer Killer, Battle Shock them, hit them with the Smothering Shadow, then hit them with a Exocrine with the +1 from the Neurolictors, and suddenly that whole combo assembles, and your really cheap units are doing ludicrous amounts of damage. And I think that that's kind of the core of where you want Synaptic Nexus to be. Obviously, I think we're gonna have to see how the detachment pans out. I do think that there's a lot more play with stuff like Norn Emissaries now too, and we might see those see some more play as well. But that's my opinion on kind of where things end up. But it is an exciting time, and I wish you the best of luck with Tyranids, man. I'm also on a Tyranid kick right now. I'm just gonna rip through a ton of Tyranid lists over the next couple weeks and just like figure out where the faction is, because I really want them to be good. I really want to play Tyranids, man. But yeah, thanks for the super chat as well. We talked about the Poxbringer. Is the Poxbringer, how different is he from the Bile Piper? He is the melee guy, right? He's got a better melee profile, but I guess we probably don't care about that. Yeah, whatever. Who cares about this guy? He gives you -1 on the Battle Shock checks, but the other guy just forces Battle Shock checks, which is really what you want anyway. And I think you can Ravenous Terror Shades off of this Loppity Bile Piper's ability, right? I don't think that's phase locked, which is kind of cool. That's like a synergy right there. Which one is Chaos Knights? Jesus Christ, I'm so bad at this. Look into the Xenos section. I'm too Xenos build right now. Yeah, any phase after a unit forces a battle shock or fails a battle shock check. So if you can use this Sloppy Bile Piper to like blow annoying bagpipes into your opponent's ear and they fail the battle shock check, then you can Terror Shades them in the beginning of the fight phase, which is kind of sweet. That's very cool. And then that could potentially bring them below starting strength, and then if you're in the correct phase of your army ability, then you can start forcing battle shock checks on them as well in their own command phase too, which is cool. So there's synergy for sure. I like that. My buddy went 4-1 with Tyranids over the weekend. You lost to Tyranids twice. Oof. Oof. Well, I haven't. I don't know. We'll see. I gotta settle on a Tyranid list. I'm playing too much Vanguard Onslaught. I think Vanguard Onslaught's cool, but I don't think it's the best attachment in Tyranids currently. But we'll see how it ends up. Let's talk about some Drukhari. George McCullough rocking some Drukhari.
DEATHWATCH at least B tier. Someone will believe me one day.
Cal Follier, thank you for the super chat. DEATHWATCH B tier. Drop a list, my guy. Drop a list. Give me that B tier Deathwatch energy.
Yo, Trevi. How's your day been?
J-Bags, it's been an okay day. I wasn't feeling that well this morning. I was feeling a little iffy, but we're doing much better now. I set my my AC up in my workspace. Feels real nice. It's off right now, so you guys don't hear the fan, but it's very good. It's very good. And, very relaxing. So he's called his list Power from the Pivot. So I think that they're using free pivot movement for based vehicles. And I have been told, although I have no actual evidence for this, I have been told that the word from the US Open team, or the like GW design team, is that you should play vehicles, round-based vehicles, as if they pivot for free, which I don't love, and I would love them to make an official post about that. But if that being the case, I think that actually dramatically changes Drukhari's power, because they get ridiculous benefits from being able to rotate for free. We've got a Sadistic Fulcrum Archon. This is in Sky Splinter. A Spiteful Raider Archon. No Nightmare Shroud guy. And I wonder if that is because of the Lord of Deceit changes. So the other open question that I don't know if is, I think there are arguments in both directions, is who gets Lord of Deceit in a Drukhari army, right? Is it just the Warlord guy? Does the Lord of Deceit ability replacement, which replaces their whatever conniving thing, whatever their ability is called, to CP tax people, does it key off of the ability to use the fact that they can use the ability, or the fact that they have the ability? And that one is a little bit of an open question right now. And if they all get it, then suddenly Overwatch looks very difficult because it's almost always going to be cost 2 if Archons are in the mix. And I think at that point the Nightmare Shroud is sort of unnecessary. Even if it's only the guy who is the Warlord, you put Nightmare Shroud on a different dude because it costs 2 CP to Overwatch this dude almost every time anyway. So it's very rare that your opponent's going to be able to do it efficiently. And then you get a Nightmare Shroud guy running around regardless. Either way, I think it's a positive change for Drukhari because they always had to jump through hoops. They had to really contort themselves to actually use their CP tax because the Archon had to be on the battlefield. Instead of running around in a Raider like he wants to, he had to specifically be on the battlefield at the time your opponent used the stratagem. So if you're like, ooh, he might use Armor of Contempt here, I'm going to jump out of my Raider and just stand in the back line so I can tell a guy to go CP tax their Armor of Contempt. Whereas now he can just pop out and fuck with their stratagems as soon as he disembarks, which is way better. I think that was a monumental change for Drukhari, regardless of how it works out. Birmingham, it was ruled as just the Warlord. Yeah, I think that's fair. It will not last within 2 weeks. It will be an FAQ. You think so? I would love that. I think that would be rad. I do think that, or I guess I don't know if I think it's pretty confirmed that I know GW has very strict rules on how often they can update their rules, and so when they fuck up, they have to own it and they have to stick with it for 3 months or whatever. We'll see. I would love it to be an FAQ so we can stop having these stupid discussions about it. That would be rad. We've got a Cabalite Warrior unit, 5 Racks and 10 Witches, 3 Venoms and a Raider, a Court of the Archon, plus double Incubi to attach the Archons into, 2 Mandrakes, double Reavers, double Scourges, Talos, Tantalus. Oh! So we have the full combo assembled here, chat. So we have a Cabalite Warrior unit. I think that this works, right? I think you can attach, if I remember correctly, and somebody in the chat will correct me if you can't do this. I believe that the full combination is that you attach the Sadistic Fulcrum guy to the Court of the Archon, who can combo attach in with the Cabalite Warriors. Then you can so the Court of the Archon, just verifying here, joins a Cabalite Warrior unit that the Archon joins into. So the Court of the Archon and the Cabalite Warrior unit become a single unit that then gets led by the Archon. So you get the Medusa's gunshot, you get a bunch of additional splinter weapons, and you get a good melee profile from the Court, plus all of the guns in the Cabalite Warriors. That all gets full hit and wound rerolls for a single pain token. With Sadistic Fulcrum, their pain token pulses out to the Tantalus, so they can move, disembark, get the sustained 2 benefit that they get from disembarking with the Sky Splinter stratagem. Plus ignore cover from the detachment ability, plus their hit and wound rerolling and the Tantalus's hit rerolling that costs you 1 command point and 1 pain token. And it's just crazy amounts of offense. It's so good. But that's super rad. I don't feel like I see this combination enough with the Tantalus, and it's really cool. And the Tantalus also gets some benefit, depending on how they rolled the base measurement stuff. If you assume that hull measuring models use the base for moving through terrain, the Tantalus actually gets huge benefits because it does hull measure, but it overhangs its base quite a bit, so it actually could squeeze through much smaller spaces if they use that FAQ that way. I don't know if they did though. So yeah, Drukhari's like weird vehicle shapes definitely got huge helps from the updates. Tyrant Guard loadout suggestions from anyone who knows. I know that a lot of people run dual Crushing Claws and like half of Crushing Claws and half the. I want to say they run the Scything Talons, the 5 attack version, because they're strength 6 now, which is much better, and you can get +1 to hit from the detachment, and they get +1 to wound or +1 strength obviously from their own thing. So I think the higher attack volume is better now that they're strength 6, but I think that it's kind of 6 to 1, half does the other. Isn't the Tantalus a ridiculous amount of money, IRL? It's probably $200 if I had to guess, because it's like basically a knight. So it's 125 GBP, which is like $170 or something. Oh, great! Thanks for kicking me out of the page I was on. 190, temporarily out of stock in the US. But it's the kit's fucking huge. It's enormous. This is a 120 mil base that it's mounted on, and it overhangs it by like 8 inches or something, like, or 6 inches or whatever. So this thing it's the size of a knight, and it costs as much as a knight. But yeah, it is pretty pricey. But I think like on the grand scheme of 40K, I don't know if it's like wildly overcosted. It's no Manta for sure, but it is a Forge World model. 11 inches from prow to stern. Yeah, so it overhangs the base by 6 inches, I think. But again, imagine if you could move through buildings with this wide ass thing and you only use the base for moving. That'd be wild. And it was beautifully painted to boot. Good looking Drukhari is so nice. Drukhari, I think, is one of the armies that benefits the most from a nice paint scheme. Like, Space Marines are very like, and Tyranids to a lesser, well, I guess actually to the same extent, basically. There are many factions, like Space Marines, Necrons, and Tyranids, that you can paint basically any variety of colors, and they probably come out just fine. Drukhari, I think, have a very wide gap between what looks good and between like a regular paint scheme and what looks good, but holy shit, when they look good, dude, they look amazing. When people start to like do decals and freehand on the hulls of the Raiders and stuff, oh my god. So good. Love it. All right, chat. Should we move on to talk about some other events? So I think someone in chat said that this event, the PKH event, used Pariah Nexus. PKH BAC did use the new deck. Okay, so let's dive in. John Stewart, Blood Angels took it down with Commander Dante. Let's go. So basically normal stuff from the beginning, right? There's no Lamarties, I guess, which is a little bit sad. But I think that Lamarties is probably not quite as necessary. He is very good, but I don't know if he's not quite as necessary when you're not fighting Redeemers. He was kind of like the silver bullet to Redeemers, because the issue was that 2 damage Overwatch, like auto-hitting Overwatch, just absolutely trucked the unit, right? And him being able to reduce damage by 1 was a big deal. Now that Redeemers are going to be less popular, I think largely because not only did Space Marine, like just generic Space Marines, get way worse, but also they are very expensive now. I think means that you're not gonna be necessarily need them quite as much. So just banking on your Death Company field up is probably okay. So we had 2 jump pack chaplains, 2 jump pack assault intercessors. So 2 jump pack Death Company Marine squads for the chaplains to jump into. They're small squads, but that's probably fine. An infiltrator squad, 2 outrider squads. Outrider squads interesting as well. So again, Pariah Nexus benefits the ability to move quickly because you can't advance and do actions anymore. So having like base move 12 units that can just run up and do stuff is already good. And they're 4 base attack chain swords, right? So they go to strength 6, 5 attacks each, which is not bad. And especially because they're basically taking the place of jump back assault intercessors, but we're already taking double jump back assault intercessors. So we have like a jump back assault intercessor unit that's just like on a base level, it's faster because they can advance 18 inches when they need to, and harder to kill, and that's really cool. And I think we had a lone invader ATB as well. Did I miss that? Did I make that up in my head? No, I think just the Outriders. Maybe I'm crazy. No, maybe I didn't see that. Okay, no, I'm a crazy person. I think I just saw Outriders and assumed that there was an Invader somewhere, but I guess there's not. All right, so we had a Ballistus Dreadnought, some cheap long-range shooting, which is nice, especially... Although the Gladiator Lancer like awkwardly didn't go up in points, but the Ballistus Dreadnought is more efficient to begin with. And a little bit tougher, because he's got that 2+ save. It was weird that the Valiant got hit, but the Lancer didn't, because the Lancer was the one that actually saw play. A Company Hero Squad, which I guess the Captain jumps into. An Infiltrator Squad, Outriders, 2 Predator Destructors for some more shooting, and then 10 Sanguinary Guard with 5 Scouts. So we're dropping Dante in with the Sanguinary Guard to give them their I think they get -1 to be wounded, right? They have the what's the word? The sort of bodyguard ability, and then they're -1 to be hit in melee because of their death mask, if I remember correctly, the entire stat line of the unit. Out of stock because it's Forge World and on its way out the door. Yeah, it might be. Once we see a Drukhari Codex, might just get yeeted out with the update. Is a clear flight stand a base? Yeah, it is. I don't know if like base itself is actually defined anywhere in the rules, but it is just like a flat thing that the model sits on. I think is almost entirely the like sort of the colloquial definition, I guess. Lost so much on Forge Road because of Demons and Hierodules. Yeah, I own 3 Hierodules and 2 Dimacrons. The Dimacrons, you could... I think you're just hamstringing yourself if you play Dimacrons as if you like rebase them on round bases and you just play them as like Norn assimilators or something, because they're much bigger and Norn assimilators don't really get a benefit from being large. So I think that you could probably get away with playing them as Norns, most likely. Yeah, so they're -1 to be hit and wounded, the Sanguinary Guard, with Dante attached in. I feel like every time I see Dante I have to look up what he does. I always forget. And then the Sanguinary Guard datasheet is it's like, I don't know, it's very contentious. The amount that I hear about the this unit is so funny because everybody's fighting over them. So they're base 2+ save, and you can Armor of Contempt them, so they're tough to kill. And I think the direct comparison is like Vanguard veterans usually, because they are... I don't know what the points breakdown is of them compared to Jump Death Company Marines. I think that they're about the same points value. They have like kind of a similar value, like the Death Company, or like same attack volume. They're slightly cheaper. Their save is worse, but they have a Feel No Pain. And they have like their guns are better because they get hit rerolls, but these guys get +1 to hit if you're attaching a character, or if you're attaching Dante into them. So they're hitting on 2s versus full rerolling, and I don't know. It feels like kind of a side grade. The more direct comparison I think is the Vanguard veterans, because they have an invuln save, and but they only have 1 damage weapons instead of 2. Because the melee, the like sword melee profile in these guys is pretty sick. Although it looks like, yeah, we're taking 2 Power Fists and 8 Blades. So you start at 4 base attacks and you go to 5, and they go to strength 7 on the charge with the benefits. So they're actually, they actually hit. They hit like a kind of like a truck. And then you get another 8 attacks from at strength 9 from Dante as well, or 9 attacks, I guess. So they have a higher attack volume and kind of lower strength, but it's probably fine. And they're certainly harder to kill than I think. They're certainly, I think, the hardest to kill of any of those infantry options because the 2+ save and the -1 to hit and wound. So they have like way more staying power than un-Lamarty's Death Company. But I think that like Lamarty's attached to the Death Company squad is probably the direct comparison, and it's whether or not you want the -1 damage dudes versus the higher save dudes. Outriders bully chaff really well. Yeah, that is. I mean, that's kind of like the shtick of like the entire faction, right? Like even just these little idiots, the jump back assault intercessors are also good at bullying chaff because they have, I believe, the exact same melee profile: 4 attacks, AP1, 1 damage. But they all go to 5 attacks at strength 6, which means that they like all of these little units clear infantry. And if you are running out of slots to take assaults jump backs, you might as well take the intercessor or the outriders. Although the outriders, I think, outriders do have like they're harder to kill than the jump back assault intercessors, which is probably a big deal. It's hard to one-shot an outrider unit, right? Because there's T5 with 3 wounds, especially so if you're like 2 damage shooting coming into them. You might clip out the entire assault intercessor unit, but you have to convert 12 or you have to convert 6 2 damage attacks to kill a outrider unit rather than 5. So you're more often leaving 1 dude in an outrider unit alive, I imagine. And then it's easier because their bases are so big to like leave 1 dude out of line of sight, for example, and allow them to survive a turn, whereas the assault intercessors are much more of like a one and done kind of thing. But the intercessors do, I think, just strictly do more damage and tend to be more maneuverable if you're not using their turbo boost, which you're not in Sons of Sanguinius, because we're not playing Gladius Task Force in this one. I could definitely see the argument for the Outriders in Gladius Task Force because they get the super fast advance. So it's interesting that we took 2 and 2 instead of 3 and 1, but I imagine that there's the higher resilience definitely played a role there. Good stuff. Congrats on taking this one down with a pretty sweet Blood Angels list. We also see some orcs over here. Some bully boys. Bully boys post nerf chat. It's kind of exciting. It's double mega armor warboss, triple warboss, triple truck, battle wagon, a flash gits unit. A tenor of flash gits? What? Plus 2 units of 5 mega knobs. Gretchen. Yeah, and this is new 40-point mega knobs with a worse feel no pain. Plus triple knobs. Double Storm Boy. So it is kind of just a standard Bully Boys army. But even with the worst Mega Knobs and still going 4-1, still doing hot. That's so interesting. I'm interested in this big unit of flash kits. I know that some people are still on the flash kits because they are good shooting, and the one downside that Bully Boys typically has is that, and orcs in general, to be fair, not every orc army, like you can play dread mobs and stuff, but orcs typically tend to have just dog shit shooting phases. Like you get a little work out of kill rigs, and you get a little work out of like Killicans and like the Gorkanons and stuff like that, especially if you're playing more of those heavy armor builds. But otherwise, they have really, really terrible shooting. The flash kits give them an out. And I know a lot of people were just looking to take more flash kits instead now that they lost Badrock. I know a couple people I talked to said they were like, hey, we're just gonna move to taking 20 flash kits because a lot of times they can do the damage of 1 unit with Badrock. They only cost a little bit more points and they're way better at fighting. I don't believe that they have the keywords to benefit from Bully Boys. So it's interesting that we're taking them in this detachment rather than like a War Horde or something, but they definitely help clear the path for the Knobs to get in without getting totally obstructed by enemy movement blockers. Yeah, they're just flash kits. They're not knobs or anything. Interesting stuff. All right, chats, what else should we take a look at? What were some of the other big events from the weekend? Guess we can jump into Dumfries. I talked about Ennis Wilson's list. He ran a Vanguard Onslaught, kind of similar to the one that we just looked at. Although he ran Zoanthropes, which I like the idea of Zoanthropes in a Vanguard Onslaught because they can uppy downy, and theirs is actually an uppy downy because they'll float into the air. Unlike Moloch's, which is a downy uppy, but it seems very rare that you get the ability to actually use it on them because they have to be the solo target of the stratagem because they don't have the correct keywords. Let's see. Chaos Knights are killing it right now, by the way. Chaos Knights with another 4-1. That's like 3 of them in 2 events that we've looked at. Take a quick peek at some Death Guard. Death Guard also not doing too bad because we also saw an undefeated Death Guard list as well earlier this week. This one rocking Mortarion and Typhus. As a lot of people pointed out, Typhus kind of hilariously did not get the lone operative key. The lone operative text on his smite, so he can deal a bunch of mortal wounds to any enemy within 18 inches. Vortex of Doom and Doombolt got updated so that they can't target lone operatives from outside 12 inches. Typhus didn't, so he can still nuke people from far away, which is very funny. Check out the Chaos Space Marine list. That Dumfries. Oh, this one? Yeah, we'll take a look at that one next. Let's see. We got a Lord of Virulence, a Tallyman. The Tallyman's all over this army now. I think largely because of how strong CP regeneration is in Pariah Nexus. That turns out a little tweak to new orders, and also a faction that was probably not really taking tacticals that often anyway. But that means that having CP regen passively is so much stronger. With Blightlord Terminators, newly cheapened Blightlord Terminators, newly discounted, Blightlord Terminators. 2 units of Death Guard Cultists, a Death Shroud Terminator squad, and a Poxwalker squad. Are we playing the Typhus Poxwalker unit? Let's go, dude. Hell yeah. A Death Guard Hellbrute, 1 Predator Destructor, 2 Predator Destructors, Mephitic Blight Haulers. Those also got a discount, right? I think they dropped 10 points. Pretty solid unit. Plague Burst Crawler, still taking the PBC, and a single War Dog Brigand, plus the Hellbrute. Love to see the Hellbrute back on the table with a twin autocannon, no less. Wild. But when you can, well, I guess we're just taking more long-range gunshots, right? Because the twin autocannon, it's 2 shots twin linked, if I remember correctly, on that profile, versus the las cannon, because normally you take missile las. It gives you 3 opportunities to hit your target rather than 2. Which means that you're very unlikely to miss, and when you miss, it gets really shitty because you don't turn on their contagion ability. Yeah, their autocannon's 2 shots twin linked. So, and you want to be firing this guy first so you can apply like the additional armor save penalty to the other shooting in the army. So you can be like, here's -1 toughness, -1 save from a million miles away, and then I light you up with Predator Destructors and with potentially like Blight Bombardment or Blight Boil or whatever, to really like mess with people. Yeah, sick. Oh, it's a Terminator Sorcerer as well. So he can So I guess the Tallyman's by himself. Again, another instance of a single character who's gonna chill by himself. The Terminator Sorcerer, the Lord of Valorance, I imagine, jumps into one of the Terminator units. Terminator Sorcerer jumps into the other one. He might go into the. They're good by themselves, to be fair. I don't think you need to jump sorcerers into stuff, but you need something in the Death Shroud squad because the Death Shroud get really shitty if they don't have a character attached. And if Typhus is going into the Poxwalkers, you could do it into these guys, and then he makes them. They're -1 to be hit if you're doing the -1 to hit contagion, -1 to be wounded if they have a character attached, and -1 damage in melee if he casts his spell. So they actually get super duper tough to kill, which is kind of sweet. You can also do the same thing with Typhus, because he gives you an additional -1 to be hit. So you're potentially -2 to be hit, -1 to be wounded, and they get super tough as well. But I bet he's in the Poxwalker squad, because I don't know why we're taking Poxwalkers otherwise. Love to see Death Guard doing well. Chaos Space Marines, Jake Chung. Taking Veterans of the Long War. Bro! That's sick. So this is the detachment that gives you like a Oath of Moment. You can choose an enemy unit, you get hit rerolls against them, and then it turns on all their stratagems when that unit does stuff. We're taking Abaddon the Despoiler, a Chaos Lord with more Master's Gift. I'm going to have to look up what the enhancements are called. One Cultist Mob, double Legionaries, 2 units of 5, a Chaos Rhino, 2 Destructors, a Terminator Squad, probably for Abaddon to hang out with, because Abaddon has to actually post the changes. He now has to see his target in order to actually resolve attacks, or to be selected to shoot to fight them. So he is no longer able to just sit in the back and do his thing and then late game really hard. He has to actually come out and fight. And having a Terminator Squad attached makes him much harder to kill. So that War Master's Gift gives you, on the Chaos Lord, critical wounds on 5s, targeting your Focus of Hatred. So your like Oath of Moment equivalent. So he's able to inflict devastating 5-ups against the thing that you are rerolling against. And if he's in a Legionary squad, then he's already wound rerolling if they're on an objective. So he's critical 5s rerolling with like 6 attacks. And he's rerolling all his hits as well. So he just can peel someone for 1 trillion damage if they are if he's comboed out on them. Because basically most of his wound rolls will ignore saves at that point. That's cool. We have a Chosen Squad, 2 Chosen Squads, a Hellbrute, so we get the double buffs on our Dark Pacts, some Raptors for utility. Again, good units for jumping in and doing stuff. It's interesting that they're more expensive than the Jump Pack Assault Intercessors, but they get special weapons, which is nice. So you're actually, and you should never discount these little special weapon Chaos Space Marine units, because their Dark Pacts are so dangerous. They can Dark Pact, and even if they fail it, they don't lose any output, because they just take their like idiot bolt pistol guy if they take enough damage to kill him. And then you're inflicting, you're getting like a bunch of bonus damage from the melted guns or whatever. And then a big 10-man Plague Marine squad. I wonder what the Plague Marine squad is here for. It's all kitted for melee, because we have the 4 big melee weapons, and then 2 plasma guns and 2 flamers. You have an Armor of Contempt in the faction. You have fights first against your Focus of Hatred. And they can auto 6 their torrent attacks. I wonder if we're playing like a kind of a funny. I guess like hit rerolls on these guys are a big deal, right? Because they have lethal hits on most of their stuff, and their heavy plague weapons I think are base 4+ weapon scale, so they really benefit from hit effects, like hit bonuses. So I think these guys are just really good when they have Oath of Moment. But then you also could get like awkwardly fights first, and you can basically play them like they had a Foul Blight spawn. Just not super efficient for 180. Yeah, it makes sense. It's so cool. Like we also saw I think Josh Roberts' list from Birmingham was playing like 20 Rubric Marines in Renegade Raiders, which I think was something that we talked about on stream. But like +1 AP on top of critical AP bonuses from their Icon of Flame kind of makes them go crazy with their Flamers. And it's cool to see all of the different cult Marine units gets play in the new Codex. I love it. Double Astra Militarum over here. Astra Militarum really embracing their new like game plan. It's nice that they're not just like rocking a trillion artillery pieces anymore. They're actually like playing the game. Rich Oliver over here, rocking Acadian command squad, Lord Shoto Leontis, a tank commander with strategist, Fly Marbo. So we're playing tanks, Acadian shock troopers, a bunch of Kadishan jungle fighters. Okay. And by a bunch of Kadishan jungle fighters, I mean 50? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50. There are 50 of them. That's so many. 1 Chimera. 2 units of 5 Attilan Rough Riders. Yeah, less excited about the 10 mans now that you can only reinforce 1 time per game. For sure. Some Bulgren, and then a bunch of Lehman Russ. You love to see it. 3 Punishers! Lehman Rush Punishers, chat. These guys, we were actually looking at them on stream yesterday. They get devastating wounds against non-monster, non-vehicles. So they actually push some pretty serious damage through on, like medium to heavy infantry. On their Punishers, to be fair. They are also the second most expensive, or the second cheapest, Lehman Rush chassis. And the Lehman Rush chassis by itself is just sort of good, right? So you're just sort of playing them. 2 units of Scout Sentinels, 2 Tempestus Scion units to jump in on people in a Rogaldorn battle tank. Yeah, we can sort of play very aggressively with the Punishers and a bunch of infantry, and then like kind of late game with the Rogaldorn after your opponent comes in to kill these basically like largely worthless 2+ save guys. They're gonna do some damage to you with their Gallon cannons, and they have a bunch of multi-meltas and stuff on them, but they're not here to do like incredible damage. They're here to be annoying and take objectives, and then your opponent has to actually kill them. Damned Legion, how's it going, man? Nice to see you in chat. More Astra Militarum also did well. Murray Court. Okay. I think this means 5 model platoon command squad. I read that as 5 platoon command squads, which you definitely can't do. Platoon command squad with Grand Strategist, Regimental Standard, Master Vox, Mortar Team, 6 Guns Ghost. Lord Torleontis, Ursula Creed. Still seeing some play, but she can use her free stratagem, or her stratagem discount on more stuff now, which is nice. 20 Kadishan Jungle Fighters, Infantry, Kazarkin, a Bulgren squad, 10 Attilan Rough Riders. This is, I think, what I would expect to be. This is kind of like a pre-nerf, or a pre-update Militarum unit. They didn't really change too much, I guess, because it's still taking the Manticore, it's still taking the Basilisk, it's still taking the full like strat combo in the HQ section. 10 Rough Riders for a counterpunch. We have a Bulgren squad, Kazarkin, and double Kadishan Jungle Fighters to fight over the midboard, and then we're taking a Hellhound, a Lehman Russ Exterminator for the +1 AP, 2 Scout Sentinels. Yeah, this is a little bit more standard of an army. +1 Chimera for the Kadishans to jump into, or maybe even the Kazarkin, to be honest, although I don't believe that they get their additional order when they're embarked in the transport, which is sad. Plus a Calidus Assassin. The Calidus Assassin, I wonder how big of a deal that is with Astra Militarum, because being able to aggressively block people's defensive stratagems is big. Like if you can CP tax someone's smoke screen, I think that is a dramatic change on how much damage an Astra Militarum army does to you. Because smoke screen is probably the single most damaging stratagem to this entire faction, right? You can be out in the open, it reduces their incoming AP, and their AP tends to be like they have a lot of AP2, AP3. So the Hellhound obviously helps in that instance, and the Exterminator, so they're trying to get around it already. But the -1 to hit is brutal. Absolutely disgustingly brutal against them. And the Calidus Assassin being like, please, just don't do it. I'm going to Deep Strike 12 inches away from you. I'm going to tell you not to do that. and that's probably big to a lot of armored vehicles in the game. And then they just get Leman Rust. Cool. Good on you, Astra Militarum. A little bit of Thousand Suns energy going on over here too. Just watched my Vanguard game. How's it feel? I would say decidedly mediocre. I played another one yesterday. It was not quite as exciting of a game as that. As that one I streamed. I was playing like a much more serious, like sort of big boy list, and I got fucking destroyed. So there's more work to do, I think. And I don't know, Vanguard just might not be the detachment for me, to be honest. We'll see how it ends up. I don't know. The damage, it still feels like you have to combo out Tyranids like quite a bit to do damage, even with the +1 strength. Because the +1 strength, a lot of times, like it only changes your math in specific situations. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm going to stick with them for at least a couple weeks for sure. But I think there's a lot of innovation to be had. Keep an eye, has been playing Kairos since the Vect update and MVP of every game. That's so interesting because the Lord of Deceit change for Kairos Fateweaver specifically seems so mediocre. Like, that is not a model that wants to be within 12 inches of your opponent, because Kairos is not hard to kill, and he's mostly firing indirect fire shots. His gun is also really mediocre. I'm actually shocked that Kairos did not get a points cut, because I think the indirect fire change sort of ruined him. His gun was already kind of meh, and it's really awkward to put him in positions where he is going to effectively get Lord of Deceit over CP taxing whatever your opponent does, because he's always on the table. So I don't know how I feel about him. And to be fair, I haven't played Chaos Demon since the update, so I might just be totally wrong. But I don't know if I like Kairos in the new thing. Damn Legion, almost 100 subs. Subs to what? What are we subbing? All right, Scott McCutcheon over here. Rockin' Aramon, a disc, Exalted Disc Sorcerer, triple Inferno Master. Hell yeah, all right. One with Arcane Vortex. A Winged Demon Prince, so he's got the uppy downy, and he can bomb people. He runs over. He rolls, I think, equal to his remaining wounds count, and does mortal wounds on 6s. So I think he averages like 2 to 3. Magnus the Red. A standard sorcerer, Lord of Forbidden Lore, a Zangor Shaman with Umbralific Crystals. So we're probably playing the big Zangor unit. Yeah, there they are. So benefit of these guys is that obviously you can uppy downy them. You only lose 1 Cabal point with the Umbralific Crystal, because you don't gain Cabal points when you trigger it to redeploy them. Because they're off the table for the timing step where you generate Cabal points, and then he comes down and you can Temporal Search him onto an objective. And having Umbralific Crystal kind of removes the necessity, in most instances, to double Temporal Search him. So you're not as worried about it. Oh, you got a little shorts channel, Damned Legion? I'll give you a sub, my guy. Oh, fuck yeah. Everybody give Damned Legion a sub. He's been a fucking supporter of the channel for the longest time. We'll give him a little shout out. 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Rubric Marines, 2 Cultist units, and a Zangor Enlightened unit. All right, fair enough. Good stuff. Looks like, so we have 4 Rubric Marine units. One of them is almost certainly attaching the base sorcerer, right? One of them is attaching Infernal Master guy. And I guess we have 2 Infernal Masters just chilling. It's a foot Aramon. So we probably have a singleton Infernal Master, 2 attached Infernal Masters, 1 attached Sorcerer, and an attached Aramon. I have seen a lot of people, and I've done this myself, is take Aramon, especially if he's on a disc all by himself, all on his lonesome. And I do think that that's pretty good, because you get a little dude who can key off your Lord of Forbidden Lore guy. And he just sits in the back, and he's like +3 Cabal points every turn, and then once per game gives you like a 7 or 9 point ritual for free. And he for 140 points, I think, is the disc arm on cost. He ends up netting you probably somewhere in the realm of like 20 Cabal points before he gets blown up. So he's definitely worth it by himself. I don't know about the foot version quite as much because he's so much slower, but he might be just be taken on his own, honestly. Almost every Demons player has been singing Kairos' praises. I'm gonna have to give him a go then, chat. Maybe I'm a big idiot dummy, and maybe I've been playing Kairos as an indirect fire artillery piece for too long. Where I thought he was okay, because like a lot of times your opponent gets to play in the Sprinkler against Demons because your shooting is so terrible, that Kairos at least puts pressure on them to fight you, where he just like starts putting all of their little utility units down to one model, and they start failing battle shock checks, and they start dying, and it's like, you know, it's pretty useful. But maybe I just gotta relearn how to play Demons, you know? They are much different now, for sure. And the ability to, like, I guess he can shadow. He's always in shadow for redeploys, so he can hop around the table to get Lord of Deceit in places pretty well. And he can, like, combo with your Everstave guy, so maybe it's fine. Thoughts on Rhinos and Thousand Suns? Yeah, Rhino's pretty good in Thousand Suns. Here's an interesting thing with Rhinos and Thousand Suns. Although, to be fair, I think that... I wonder if he played Kairos in Thousand Suns, chat. Is he good now? Is Lord of Deceit worth it in Thousand Suns? Probably not. Almost certainly not. Rhinos and Thousand Suns are cool because you can firing deck your sorcerers out of them, and it like compartmentalizes your firing deck. So one thing that I like to do is, if you're not taking too many sorcerers attached into rubric units, or even if you are and you don't care about the reroll so much that turn, you can put the Rhino next to Magnus, and he buffs your shooting with the psychic weapons. So it actually makes the Rhino like kind of a scary gun platform, and then it protects the dudes inside. The downside, obviously, is that you don't generate Cabal points when you're in the Rhino, and that might be less of a consideration now that indirect fire is so much less frequent than it was. Previously, I felt like Rhinos, or at least 6 months ago, I felt like Rhinos were a necessity, because if you didn't have them, your opponent was just going to artillery all your Rubric Marines to death, and you were going to feel stupid. And I think that you were kind of obligated to put 2 Rubric Marine units, like 2 5-mans in a Rhino, 1 in reserve, and everyone else was a sorcerer, so that you didn't just die to like mortars and shit. Now that indirect fire is so much worse, I don't think you need that as much, but it's still a consideration. And Rhinos are never bad. Even if your Rhino just like ferries a single Infernal Master around and then disembarks him and acts as a utility unit for the rest of the game, it's gonna be worth its 70 points. Especially the Thousand Suns one actually shoots a lot too. It's very good at clearing infantry because it gets 2 bolters and a Havoc launcher for no fucking reason. So yeah, I do like them. I don't think that they're a necessity for every list anymore, but I do think that they're not bad. Jack Harpster played Thousand Suns with Kairos on their channel. Did he really? That's fun. Was it good? The problem is he doesn't generate Cabal points. I kind of wish he did. I think that would be a cool way to make Thousand Suns a little bit more interesting. And I bet, like, there's got to be, like, a demon summoning detachment in that codex when it comes out, right? Where you're, like, your demonic allies get the keyword or something, or get the ability. That'd be rad. We can keep talking about Thousand Suns. Fabian Huber at the Salzburg Major went undefeated, X0-1. Yes, it's the same as every other Thousand Suns list. Yeah, this is basically just what we talked about. It's a sorcerer with Umbrellific Crystal instead of the Zangor Shaman, so we're not projecting the Zangors as far, but the sorcerer with Umbrellific Crystal actually does a lot of damage. He's very dangerous to the utility units because his gun is super silly. And especially if you can source hit rerolls on it. It's harder now that you can't duplicate the full reroll strat in Thousand Suns. But you used to be able to full hit reroll him, and he's sustained 3, so you just fished for sustains, and you got massive amounts of damage from him. And so he was able to like either by himself or just with a unit of like 5 idiots, he could go clear out like a whole flank by himself of like lighter units, which was nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Rubric Marines, 1 Zangor unit. There's the Rhino. Ta-da! So we can deliver them to the table. 2 units of cultists. So we basically took, instead of the sorcerer and the shaman and the Zangors or the enlightened, excuse me, we took the Rhino and the sorcerer. It's basically the only change from the last list we looked at. Oh, and we didn't have the demon prince in that one, I guess. Because some Necrons going on over here. What do we got? Ooh, a spicy list. Ooh, I love it. Nightbringer, Void Dragon, Imhotep the Stormlord, CP regen, inject it directly into my veins, a Plasmancer with the Risen Tyrant for rerolls when he sets up on the table, and the Silent King. Let's go. So the Silent King plus Catan Shards is such a cool archetype that doesn't see enough play, I think. The Silent King obviously is a very dangerous single combatant. He give hit and wound rerolls, and he has a trillion shots between the big laser cannons on the Mineers plus his own shooting. But it's very difficult to get him around. But you can Cosmic Precision him, so you can put him into reserve, drop him down somewhere, and Cosmic Precision him to set up anywhere. The downside is that normally that was just better on the Nightbringer or something. But now that the Nightbringer can't do it, you can play the Catan Shards just like battleshipping around the table and then drop the Silent King wherever they are. So he can just constantly be following them around to give them rerolls. And suddenly the Nightbringer and the Void Dragon with rerolls on their ridiculous guns get fucking absolutely insane. We get an Immortal Squad for the Arisen Tyrant guy to jump into, a Deathmark unit, a Flayed One unit, a single Locust Heavy Destroyer unit, and double Doomsday Arcs, chat. I love this list. Hypercrypt Legion is so cool. It's so cool. And I'm so glad that now that Canoptic Horde isn't the only Necron build, we get to actually explore it. So Doomsday Arcs coming off the side of the table are like the silliest thing ever. Because this list is ramming 2 Catan Shards down your throat. So you can either fight those guys, or you can fight, and the Silent King, or you can fight the Doomsday Arcs that are sitting in the back line. The Doomsday Arcs are going to constantly pop off and then jump in off the side and get lines of sight to things that you wouldn't, like, normally you would be hiding. And then once they get a good bead down the middle of the table and you sort of toilet bowl the game around the Catan Shards and the Silent King, the Doomsday Arcs start remaining stationary and getting devastating wounds and plus one to hit. And at that point, their guns just start one-shotting everything. And it gets very annoying. Plus, you can also give them all the effects from the Silent King as well. So if they're in range to do that, obviously. So they are already a good inclusion in Hypercrypt Legion, and this list is just sort of supporting them very well. And then we just have a Plasmancer squad for the 5-up criticals and Tesla sustained hits, so that Immortals could just like vaporize infantry and stuff if you need them to. This list rules. I love it. It's so cool. It's rumored that there's a demon-related attachment like Brute Brothers in all of the cult codexes. Dude, that'd be sick. It's weird that there's not one in Chaos Space Marines proper. Like, where's my possessed detachment? You know what I mean? I think, like, Pact Bound Zealots was supposed to be the possessed detachment, but it didn't really do anything, right? I guess there's, like, the weird Chaos Cult one. I don't know. And it's not really a... an allied sort of thing. All right, I heard tell, chat, that there was a Deathwatch list. Hey, here it is. Kyle Follier, who was just in chat talking up some frickin' Deathwatch. If you're still in chat, KF, then we're going to talk about your list. 4-1 with fucking Deathwatch. What an absolute chat. So somebody actually came into my, one of the members who was playing at this event. So this is the Portal Summer GT, which is kind of local to me. It's, I don't know, it's like 120 miles away or something. I've actually streamed Portal events in the past, but I actually didn't realize this was happening until very recently. But I don't think I'm gonna have time to stream events until next month, probably because of the Invitational. So I probably wouldn't have been able to stream it anyway. But I have streamed their events in the past, and somebody was coming and posting, and they were like, "Guys, did you see that DEATHWATCH won this GT?" And I was like, "Did they?" I think I would have noticed if DEATHWATCH had won a GT. And they thought that Kyle had won the finals game. I think that Kyle and Kevin played in the finals game, the Battle of the K's, and it was a 2-point game. So we also almost saw undefeated DEATHWATCH, and he was convinced that they had won, but did not realize that the bottom 5 scoring had flipped it. That would have been fucking insane. But instead, we got an X-1 DEATHWATCH that only lost in the finals, so that's cool. All right, we're running Black Sphere Task Force, so we got it. we're in a position where I have to actually look at what the models do, because I always forget. We have a jump captain with Tome of the Ectoclades, which, by the way, has never been updated to my knowledge, so it still gives you old Oaths of Moment. You get wound rerolls on your Tome of the Ectoclades target. As far as I know, that has not been changed. Some events have ruled that it doesn't work, but strictly rules as written, it absolutely does, because it specifies that you get to reroll hits and wounds against that target, the second target. Iron Man mode activated for achievements, yeah. Which is I think like the one thing that Black Sphere Task Force still has going for it. That is a unironically good enhancement. Although, to be fair, they also have the Teleportarium, which is also good. Don't get me wrong. That's a solid one. We've got Jump Back Assault Intercessor unit for some... Oh, it's a Jump Back Captain. Cool. So is he in the Assault Intercessor squad? Oh, yeah. Looks like it. So he's going to be hanging out with the Assault Intercessors. That's rad. Sweet. A Centurion Devastator squad. So we get an uppy downy in the Black Sphere Task Force because you can teleport these guys around the table. So it's Vanguard Spearhead, where you Uriel Ventress these dudes in Ultramarines, and then you use the uppy downy to put them in reserve and then drop that back in. You don't have to go through all those hoops in DEATHWATCH. They just get it for free. A DEATHWATCH Terminator squad with a bunch of heavy weapon dudes, 3 assault cannons. Another DEATHWATCH Terminator squad with 3 assault cannons. A Gladiator Reaper, a 3-man Inceptors, a 6-man Inceptors. Again, that's another unit that can uppy downy really well, because you can potentially drop them in on the bottom of the first turn. This is all stuff that used to happen in Vanguard. You could potentially drop them in on bottom of round 1 if you went second, because then your opponent... Like, you could uppy downy them end of your opponent's turn, drop them in 3 inches away, and just yeet something directly into the stratosphere. And there's basically no way to stop it if you didn't have insane screening, because they have the 3-inch deep strike. Then regular Assault Vulture Inceptor squad, 1 Infiltrator squad, 1 Vindicator, and a Voids Men-at-Arms. Good stuff. All right, so what do we got going on in Black Spear over here? So they get the once per game mission tactic to either get sustained hits, lethal hits, or precision on critical hits, but whatever. Critical hits precision is just really weird. You have to fucking allocate them separately. Bizarre. That one's kind of whatever. And you can adapt your strategy or adapt the tactics into switching into getting any of those. So any of the times that you are engaging with these big brick units, like these big, huge, what's it called? The Centurion units or the Inceptor units, you can then adapt a strategy them into getting those benefits as well. The different special rounds, I don't know if we're really built to do stuff. You can do cool things with big bolter Inceptor squads with them because they have bolt weapons, so you can give them like anti-infantry and stuff, but I don't know how much we're doing that because we only took a little tiny baby bolt weapon squad. But it does make sense that we have all these Centurion or these DEATHWATCH Terminator squads, so we have a lot of devastating wound weapons between all the assault cannons, and I guess to a lesser extent the Gladiator Reaper, although he's getting devastating wounds or rerolls just basically. But these guys can benefit from that Tome of the Ectoclades by dropping fucking 36 devastating assault cannon shots into something with full rerolls. And you can combo that with the tactic, so you can get like sustained hits, hit rerolls to then try to convert into more sustains, wound rerolls from the tome, so you're getting tons and tons of devastating wounds from the combination of those effects. These two units together probably are doing 10 to 12 mortal wounds or something, which is a lot. That's pretty good. The captain was unattached. Legend. What a guy. He's just chilling. Fair enough. I guess he's got a shield. He's just hanging out. Shield the Thunderhammer. He's just a little counterpuncher. Bop some people in the head. Yeah, no kill teams at all, chat. Who needs them, you know? Just take Deathwatch Terminators. To be fair, Deathwatch Terminators are the best part of a Proteus kill team, right? So these guys are basically a Proteus kill team by themselves. Can they take multiple Cyclone Missile Launchers? Probably, right? Actually, want to look at their data sheet. Deathwatch Terminators. Deathwatch Terminators. They get up to 3 with Cyclone Missile Launcher and Stormbolter. Huh. I guess the downside of having these guys, because you can have 3 heavy weapon Terminators inside a Proteus kill team, but you don't get the cool frag cannon guys, and that's actually where like the other half of the damage comes from those dudes. So no, the assault cannon makes sense in them. Kill team's too expensive, 100%. Yeah. I'll die on the stupid hill of the fucking Proteus kill team, man. I think that the other kill teams, Indomitor, Fortis, Spectrus, are unplayable trash, in my opinion. The Proteus kill team at least has a bunch of guns, but I'll die on the hill that this points value is stupid as hell. Why are the first 5 models fucking 36 points each? They're Tactical Marines. It's a 180-point Devastator squad. Why? GW. Why? Why is it like that? I'll die on that hill. It's the stupidest unit. I hate it. I hate it so much. That unit needs to be fucking 120 points for the first 5 dudes. It need to be 60 points less expensive. Cost 180 points for the last 5 dudes, because 3 of them are going to be Terminators. That's fine. Then we're talking. But why are we paying 36 points a fucking Tactical Marine? I hate it. I hate it. Miss having 5 Eliminators in a Spectrus kill team? Yeah. Yeah, the fact that they just like ripped the heart out of all these kill team data sheets in the update, in the edition update, because they used to gain all of the abilities of the units that composed them, and now they just get like basically the worst of whatever you're taking, which is really stupid. Like, at least they infiltrate inside, like, scout 6 inches. Like, that's cool, I guess. But, like, why? Who cares? We're upcharging for a fucking 40 points for a scout squad. We could just get it in a scout squad. And you can only have, like, 2 of any of the interesting guys. And everyone else is just, like, a reaver. Bleh. Bleh. I liked the lists that would take 5 Eliminators, 5 Infiltrators in the Spectres team, combat squad them, and then... have the Eliminators like shoot and scoot. With there was like a Warlord trade, I think, right? They let you shoot and scoot with the on the primary or the Phobos Lieutenant, if I remember correctly. What's up, kitty cat? The Watchmaster with Vex might be sneaky good. Yeah, I think that guy's probably pretty solid for sure. Especially, yeah, he was basically like the Archon that we just talked about, in that he was always in a transport most of the time, so he never got to use his Vex unless he was awkwardly just standing on the table doing nothing. And now you can play him like in an Impulsor, for example, and then jump him out and use his Vex aggressively, which I think is much better. Good stuff. All right, chat. I think those are... We went through a lot of the events that use the new rules. Talked about some of the spicier ones. Field of Flames GT had maybe the spiciest event win that we've seen this edition. Oh, we saw some AdMech at that one. That's pretty good. We'll talk about some AdMech. What's up, Geek Cat? How you doing, baby? Adrian Lopez over here. Thank you, GW, but I miss my point to dollar ratio. Can I have that back, please? Can we play $2 per point, Silvu play? I would love that. I would love for my like 25 point Iron Strider Ballistarius or whatever to cost me $100 or something. Remember the Specialism Extremis? I do. Remember when events died on the hill that Specialism Extremis didn't work on auto-hitting weapons? When it absolutely very clearly did, and people just thought it was broken. But it was like AP0, 1 damage attacks, and so it didn't actually really matter that much. So we're running Skitari Hunter Cohort. Interesting. This time around. 2 Techno-Archaeologists, which feel like most of the characters that these guys are taking right now. 1, 2, 3 units of Skitari Rangers, a trillion Iron Strider Ballistari. These last cannons, by the way, now, chat, are fucking nuts. I saw some people saying that the loss of Twin Linked actually made them way worse. I don't know what they're talking about, because shooting 2 times and getting +1 ballistic skill, and probably being heavy, so their additional +1 ballistic skill, is nuts. These things are so good, even at their higher points value. Skystalkers, Triple Sterilizers, Rust Stalkers. So we're using Rust Stalkers. They get advance and charge in the detachment for a CP. And then they can get those benefits when they're setting their battle line units to get the advanced charge bonus. So they're going super far, and they went up to 5 attacks, if I remember correctly. Plus, they have that +1 weapon skill, Doctrina, that they can jump into. So these guys are super lethal when they want to be. They have to kind of combo together to do it, which I think is good for AdMech Melee. That's kind of how AdMech Melee should be. But they went from being absolutely worthless garbage to being very dangerous, which is super sweet. So 2 units of those guys and a bunch of Sidonian Dragoons with Taser Lances. Damn, this list is fucking beefy. Holy shit. So you gotta fight through 30 Sterilizers that are dropping in and wound rerolling you with a bunch of Flamers. You have to jump through shooting from 6 Iron Strider Ballistari. And then get through the melee of 6 Sidonian Dragoons and 20 Rust Stalkers. And this list is just forcing it down your throat. That's absolutely wild. That seems really good. Can you use my logo in a shout-out short? Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, dude. 100%. Thanks for asking, too, by the way. I appreciate that. This list seems sweet. I know, it seems like Adeptus Mechanicus is a lot more build variety, too, because I know a lot of people are running Rad Zone cohort now. Rad Zone cohort. But Skitari Hunter cohort actually seems pretty reasonable with the changes. Now that Melee is a little bit more functional for them and not quite as just terrible as it was. Somebody asked about an Aeldari list. I believe that there was an Aeldari list. I want to say it was at Birmingham, but it might have been at... Let's check Birmingham. I think there was an Aeldari list there at X and 1. Let's look. Yep, there was. I remember. Luke Quadling, 4 and 1 with Eldar guns. I'm running a Wee Leaper, Warlock Skyrunner. I know this is also kind of an interesting flex too, because a lot of people have moved to taking Ynnari as kind of like the general Eldar build. But I think you can still play generic Eldar, and it's very good. But Ynnari is super strong right now too, because of especially because I think there's going to be a little bit more of an emphasis on like armored stuff, and getting mass Haywire and mass Heat Lances with built-in rerolls from the Battle Host attachment is really good. Running a Warlock Skyrunner, little guide action, a Storm Guardian squad, 1 Crimson Hunter. triple fire prisms, a D-cannon support weapon platform, 5 rangers, and a bunch of swooping hawks for utility, double void weavers, a 10 model or a 9 model wind rider unit, plus a viper. So what are these guys equipped with? Shurikens. So we can guide them, and the shurikens, if I remember correctly, on these guys are sustain 1. So they're getting additional benefit from the guide because they're getting to reroll into additional sustains. You can use the Viper to remove cover from enemies too. Oh, actually, they hit reroll, right? Yeah, so they hit reroll, so they don't even need the guide. So you're guiding other stuff. You're probably guiding the fire prism that's gonna link fire. So they're shooting whatever 27 shots with sustain at AP 1/2 damage, probably ignoring cover. That's not bad, and then firing fading. I know that I saw these units see play at the very beginning of the edition, but they just got outstroked by other stuff. But it seems like we might be back, chat. Because that unit's very annoying to deal with. It's just enough damage to basically kill any one thing, right? Like, it kills light vehicles and it kills medium infantry, like super dead. And then runs away. So there's nothing you can do about it. And it's just sustained damage over the course of the game, as long as you're saving for that fire and fade. The other thing that you can do with them is if you have the scout guys whose names I fucking forget. I'm bad at 40k chat. What's the name of the scout biker? Somebody's gonna yell at me in chat here because it's so obvious. Jesus Christ, dude. It's been too long of a stream. Shroud runners. Oh my god. Shroud runners, you moron. You can fish for lethal and sustain, and your damage output goes crazy because they give people lethal hits. I think Shroud Runners are like criminally underpaid. They're also really cheap too. But they combo very well with the Viper because you can put all of the debuffs on one enemy unit and then just point a big squad at it and fucking delete it. Just super duper kill it. Especially if they're hit rerolling. I have seen that at the beginning of the edition. Less so now. I don't really see it so much anymore, but I'm always constantly surprised about that. Plus, they're like a 9-inch scout unit that moves fast and has a bunch of gunshots itself. Shroud Runners are really good. Eldar lists usually have 1 million characters. Yeah, I mean, Eldar characters are very good too, right? They're always just super strong. Oh, this is a Warlock Skyrunner. I don't know why I'm talking about it like it's a Farseer Skyrunner. God, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm tired, I think. I didn't sleep good last night, so I don't know. I'm off my rocker here. It's a Warlock Skyrunner, not a Farseer. You silly goose. You silly goose. So they give people stealth or ignore cover as base. Okay. So they're not benefiting from the Viper. They don't need it, right? Because he's just attached into this Skyrunner unit. That's a great ability. That's super sweet. So that unit's just consistently going to be doing damage. Plus, he also gets to throw another spear, so you're shooting another 3 damage attack at people. Plus, you're also getting he himself has another fucking D6 plus 2 AP1 gunshots. So he's putting a lot of additional damage into the unit and also making them ignore cover base. So you can use the Viper either as utility or to buff the vehicles instead. So you get ignore cover on 2 big things, like whatever the fire prisms are shooting at probably, and whatever the Skyriders are shooting at. Which it actually feels way better because they're getting hit rerolls baked in. That's rad. That's super cool. I love that. Warlock Skyrunner. I saw Skyrunner and I was like, immediately it's a Farseer, right? Nope. That's wrong. You idiot. Oh, man, chat. I think that means it's probably time for me to sign off. I'm, like, fading. Oof. Oh, boy. But, man, these lists are really cool. This is my favorite part of the metagame, is, like, when we get this huge shake up and suddenly every list is up in the air. We saw all sorts of bizarre stuff doing well this weekend. Null Maiden Vigil did well this weekend, which is wild. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off. I think that if you want the party to continue, I'm going to try to be live over in the... hey, somebody just subscribed over on Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, thank you, Lotus1337. I think I'm going to be live over on the Twitch channel later on. So if folks want to come hang out with me over there, I'm going to try to play a game. I'm gonna maybe play some Tyranid stuff, maybe some Synaptic Nexus or something. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, come hang out with me over there. That's going to be probably the next place I'm at. So give me like an hour or so to sort of settle down and make a list and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be sweet. Damn Legion, happy to see Deathwatch get a mention. Hell yeah, dude. That's a cool list, by the way. I love the little very highly technical MSU lists. That speaks to me that it's someone who is very committed to the faction and who is very attuned into what they can accomplish. Every time you see a list like that and you look at it and you're like, what is happening in this list? What is going on? And like the combos are not immediately evident. Like there's a lot of stuff you can be like, oh, I'm playing a Fire Discipline Galaxy Task Force or whatever. And you're like, okay. And that's where I always go because I'm kind of a moron. But the lists that are very like, you know, Tome of the Ectoclades plus, oh, it turns out if we take these units, we can rock like 7 or 8 assault cannons to combo a Devastating Wounds. Like that's very real. And that's really, really, really cool. I love that stuff. Well, sweet. Well, thanks everyone for hanging out with me this Tactical Tuesday. Come hang out with me on Twitch, please, s'il vous plaît. Twitch.tv/TacticalTortoise. I'm going to try to go play a game over there before I get back to work. And yeah, Sean Hannon with the super chat. I don't know if the bot's going to pick it up here, but looking forward to Crucible. Hell yeah, dude. I'm also looking forward to Crucible. And I'm going to be at ATC the week after next weekend. So we're going to be doing Slots live streaming over here. So thanks everyone for hanging out with me, and I'll see you over there. Cheers.